The NCAA has become a system that does not keep the best interests of student athletes in the forefront. Many colleges and universities are exploiting athletes for financial gain. Consequently, the welfare of education and integrity of college sports itself has diminished. Are college athletes amateurs or professionals? This is a big
We can fight our way back into the light.
I want people to see the NCAA for what it really is. And it's not child's play. It's not a bunch of kids running up and down the court. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I don't know if you know this, but the ad revenue for March Madness exceeds the ad revenue from the Super Bowl and the World Series combined. So this isn't child's play. This is something that needs to be explored, and we need to talk about something that's actually fair in terms of compensating the athletes and their families, because these are real issues that we have to deal with.
College institutions don't allow enough time for their athletes to study and prepare for their academics. This is because the athletes are much busier than regular students. The average day for a college basketball or football player starts at 5 a.m. and ends at 7 p.m. This includes about 6 to 7 hours of working out and 8 hours of classes or studying. To prove the workload was affecting graduation rates, the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sport at the University of Central Florida released its annual report on graduation rates of NCAA tournaments basketball teams. The nation's top programs were near the bottom of the list. As of March 2010, NCAA's number one seed Kentucky graduated just 31% of its students, the sixth lowest rate amongst the 65 teams, but far ahead of Maryland, which only saw 8% of its basketball players graduate at the time. 8, that's just one player. In this interview with Clinton Laster, a former Division III basketball player at Tufts, we wanted to find out what it was like when a school focused very hard on its athletes graduating, not just making money for the school. We asked what was the recruiting process like for you. His response was, having the luxury of actually being recruited made me feel good about myself, and just the fact that I was wanted. We also asked, did you ever get extra support for academics because you were busy and you traveled a lot with your team? His response was, no, I had to figure out the balance of basketball and academics. We also asked, were you given academic support as an athlete? For example, extra time to hand in a paper or take a test later because you had games or practices or had to travel. His response was, no, I never was. We were always encouraged to do school first, and basketball would fall into place. We also asked were they aware that you were on track to graduate. His response was, yes, they were aware. We had to show our report cards or transcripts. The last question we asked, if you're not on track to graduate, what would they have done? His response was, in high school, failing was not an option, and in college there were tutors and teammates that could help you. In an interview with Vin Connolly, we asked similar questions. Did you ever get extra support for academics because you were traveling and you didn't really have adequate time?
If we needed to have more time to hand in a paper or an extra day to take a test because we were traveling, the professors were always willing to help in that sense.
So was your coach aware that you were on track to graduate? Did he make sure you did?
Yeah, he did. But, we had several kids on the team that were there for 4 years, had 4-year scholarships, and they never graduated.
Yeah. These are great examples of schools where academics are taken seriously, but one school focuses more on graduating than players in the other. On the opposing side of the argument, you could say that schools do not have to support or graduate their scholarship players, because it's the athlete's responsibility to keep up with their academics. Another reason is that maybe these athletes should be attending schools that they couldn't get in with academics alone, which isn't the case with a large number of athletes. It's easy to say that it's the athlete's responsibility to take hold of their academics and not the professors or the coaches. Schools profiting off athletes has nothing to do with them graduating or not. It is important to remember that athletes have much more work to do than average students. Scholarship athletes deserve more than a free education because schools make so much money off their sports, and in some cases these athletes don't even graduate. I propose that the NCAA establishes a certain GPA for all athletes. If the athletes do not meet this GPA, the schools and the athletes will be punished.